In the Flesh and Blood world today, many players attribute Tales of Aria as being Flesh and Blood's most powerful and impactful set. But today I'm here to argue that it's not actually TOA, but rather Everfest that should hold the title of Flesh and Blood's most powerful set, and why, as opposed to Tales, Everfest's impact will be felt throughout the entire life of Flesh and Blood. A huge shout out to our channel members for supporting what we do here. If you want to get involved with the channel and the Dice Commando community, please consider joining as a channel member. Remember, these videos are only possible with your support. You can show that support with a like, a subscribe, and by leaving us a comment and sharing your feedback. Community first, and go Commando. Hello my Flesh and Blood friends, and welcome back to Go Again, a fabulous cast here on Dice Commando. Now today, I'm making the argument that years from now, once the trauma of Tales of Aria has been long forgotten, Everfest will end up being considered Flesh and Blood's most powerful set from this era. This is also relevant to consider now, as it looks like we're both turning the corner on the depowering of Flesh and Blood, combined with the recent news on the shredding of Everfest Unlimited.
Any update on that?
Yeah, well, it's never coming actually. So I'm glad that you asked me, because you asked me the same question exactly a year ago at the Calling Auckland, and yeah, like you say, I said that the market wasn't ready for it. I don't think the market ever needs it, and the entire print run was actually destroyed about half a year ago. So.
Now, as I mentioned in the intro, a large portion of the Flesh and Blood community, if asked today, would likely point to Tales as being Fab's most powerful set. And there's certainly logic there, right? Tales introduced the elemental talent, of which every single hero of that particular talent had LL'd by the end of 2023. And then the weapons. Oh, the weapons. The never legal Duskblade, sure, but also practically Voltaire, Rosetta, Winter's Wail, and yes, even Titan's Fist, which remains the fatigue weapon of choice for Guardians even today. So yeah, there's a solid argument for Tales, there really is. But my thesis statement for today is this. In 10 years, I don't believe players will care about Tales of Aria, but they will still care about the cards from Everfest. Tales will be but a boogeyman of legend, but Everfest cards will still be flying around and very much useful in decks. So with that said, let me know if you agree. As you're listening, drop a comment down below and let me know your takes. And let's be clear here, this is not about Starvo. Sure, he was insane, still is in the LL format, but he's gone now from CC, and in a few years, maybe even less than that, given how short gamer memories seem to be, he'll be long forgotten. I believe Everfest will continue to carry weight in Flesh and Blood, not just because of the cards it brings, but rather entire packages that are not only darn good, but easily transportable into different heroes and different builds. In other words, perpetuality. Out of the gate, one of the strongest of these is the second swing package for Warrior. 3 simple cards, Blade Runner, In the Swing, and Slice and Dice, have completely and forever changed the Warrior deck build landscape. Sure, Blood in Her Hands and the associated Copper package was the big sexy for Kassai, propelling her into top-tier Blitz contention. But while Kassai will come and go, Dual Swing will forever be a Warrior thing, and the cards from this package are the Warrior Second Swing backbone. The Brute cards from Everfest expanded on the draw then discard mechanic introduced on Pulping and Monarch, and with incredible upside. Both Wild Ride and Bare Fangs have become regular staples in Brute decks. The fact that Wild Ride and Bare Fangs were reprinted in heavy hitters versus introducing something new reinforces the impact that Everfest had on the Brute playlines. And of course, it would be remiss to forget about Big Swing. An awesome design, high damage but rewarding if blocked, this 2-for-8 bad boy will remain a Brute staple card forever. For our Guardians, they picked up a number of cards that have become both fatigue and pressure-focused staples. Few Guardian decks, if any, are without Blue Macho Grande. And Everfest also introduced the Heath mechanic, not to mention the Crazy Big Pulverize, which is a popular one-of game swing type card in many Guardian matchups. And while the set also introduced Valda and Earthlord Bounty, adding a new draw-focused playstyle for Guardians, it's these value-heavy staples that will continue to impact the game going forward. Benji took a huge boost in Everfest with his Spring Tidings specialization, as well as some small, pun intended, tricks for continuing his Chane. And while that led to lots of theory crafting, it's the 100 Winds of Eternity line that will continue to be an ever-present combo line for our ninjas. An extremely flexible and intuitive combo line, not to mention that all of them have combo for Flick-Flack synergy. Being a 0 line makes it rather transposable into a number of ninja builds, and as such will likely continue to be a solid side option combo set going forward. Our mech heroes got a massive boost, again pun absolutely intended, in Everfest. The Teklo Pounder alone pushed the Dash Pound Boost playstyle to new heights and opened up hybrid deck options for OG Dash. Not only was T-Bone a much needed zero boost at the time, but its ability to strategically suck out blade break equipment changed how folks had to think about blocking. Payload offered a strong chain ender that can often guarantee hits. Even as mech heroes come and go, it's clear that boost will remain a core mechanic of the class, and these includes from Everfest will continue to be at the top of deck lists for includes. And while the Ranger class didn't pick up a ton of generically good arrows, especially as compared to later sets like Dynasty and of course Outsiders, there was one card, Rain Razors, that changed the face of Ranger class forever. As long as Rain Razors and Boltyn Shot can be paired together, it's likely to see them in Ranger decks. And as if the Runeblades needed more help at the time already, Everfest was the introduction of both Swarming Gloomveil and Revel in Runeblood, a pair of absolutely disgusting cards in terms of value. The introduction of these two cards alone almost instantly LL'd Viserai in Blitz. As long as Rune Chants are a mechanic in the Runeblade class, Swarming Gloomveil will have a home. And as long as Runeblades want to do non-attacks and attacks, weary opponents will always have to worry about facing 4 more Rune Chants headed into the final weapon swing. And if you thought Revel in Runeblood was a feel-bad card, well, hold your crazy brews, my friends, because here comes the Wizard Pain Train. Aether Wildfire and Emeritus Scolding were both released in Everfest. Emeritus Scolding, of course, being the Arsenal-packed, Stormstriders-fueled favorite of both Kano and the Emperor, and heck, Iyslander sure didn't hate it either in the right situation. And Aether Wildfire, well, not only did it find itself on ban lists in some formats in pretty short order, but find yourself with low AB or an all-red hand and without an Oasis, well, burn in fire, my dear friend. The compounding math on this card opens up crazy possibilities for Wizards, and will continue to be a threat in the right combo lines forever. Now, for the last class that was out at the time, we have our poor Illusionists, who never get any good toys. Why do you hate Illusionists, Brian? Gosh. But in all seriousness, the package picked up by the Illusionists in Everfest was absolutely bonkers. Miraging Metamorph is a 1/7 that pairs well with basically everything Illusionist needs to do. Off a blue, it can get popped, feed footsteps, and come again with another 1, not to mention it's just, a 1/7. Fractal Replication is there as a threat, and promises to be good one day. But the real impact was, and will continue to be, the arc of Spectral Auras. Aside from the often turn-ending Spectre keywords, the effects that they bring are very strong, and to remove require tricks or wasted attacks. Even some Dromai builds have found their way to these guys. Barring a change to Spectre itself or bans, there's no way that these cards won't continue to find their way into an Illusionist build in the future of Fab. And for everyone, some hot, extremely useful generics. Arcane Lantern itself was a game changer, an offhand that provided access to Arcane Barrier. Not just did it bring some classes up to AB5 potential, but it opened the AB door to many others. We also saw the introduction of another forever staple, This Round's on Me, a safety valve type sideboard card that provides relief against certain archetypes. So as we've seen, every single class that was present in the game at the time got some massive tools. Non-talent, generally strong and useful cards that in many cases help define playstyles. The set came at the tail end of the most powerful era of Flesh and Blood. But as a supplemental set, the cards and strategies were not tied to specific heroes or builds, thus making them generically applicable. And that is why Everfest is the most impactful set we've seen to date. We'll be seeing these cards impact the meta via their presence and play packages for years to come. So that's my take. Let me know if you agree. Thanks for joining, my friends, and go Commando.